Alright, we're back with part 6 of my review of Kathleen Zellner's newest motion on behalf of Steven Avery. The last video was mostly about the Thomas Sowinski evidence, and we're going to continue with the newly discovered Thomas Sowinski evidence in this video as well. And once again, all 149 pages of this document is linked in the description below if you want to go have a view for yourself. And after a very thorough investigation of Mr. Thomas Sowinski and the accuracy of the information he provided as the Sowinski evidence, Mr. Avery's current post-conviction counsel determined that the Thomas Sowinski evidence necessitates filing a third motion. So this evidence appears to be the main reason why she filed this third motion on behalf of Steven Avery. And this information is gigantic. Like I said in the last video a couple of times, the exact same thing happened in 1994 and 1995 that happened when Thomas Sowinski made this call as well in November 6, 2005. The same department. Probably a few of the same officers. Just absolutely bonkers that this happened. Mr. Avery's conviction for the first-degree intentional homicide was in large part based on trial defense's counsel unsuccessful efforts to name a third-party Denny suspect that meets all of the Denny requirements. If you're just watching this video for the first time and didn't watch any of the others, go back and watch them. Kathleen Zellner has gone all in on accusing Bobby Dassey as a third-party Denny suspect, linking him to the murder of Teresa Halbach. The Sowinski evidence meets the Denny requirements that makes Bobby Dassey a third-party Denny suspect in the murder of Teresa Halbach. The Thomas Sowinski evidence meet the Denny requirements of naming Bobby as having framed Mr. Avery for the murder. Bobby Dassey's possession of Teresa Halbach's vehicle gave him access and opportunity to plant Steven Avery's blood and DNA and to remove evidence from the vehicle and plant it in Steven Avery's bedroom. Teresa Halbach's key, Teresa Halbach's electronic devices. Not only was it planted in Steven Avery's bedroom, it was also planted in his burn barrel. Sowinski knew and material evidence was suppressed when the Manitowoc Sheriff's Office failed to disclose the November 6, 2005 10:28 p.m. audio recording to defense discovery requests. The disclosure of the audio recording would have led to the identification of Mr. Sowinski and the evidence he has provided, which directly connects Bobby Dassey to the murder and framing of Steven Avery. The Sowinski evidence is both material and favorable to the Steven Avery case, which is why it was suppressed back in 2005. It did not fit the state's narrative to try and set up Steven Avery allegedly for the murder of Teresa Halbach, so they did not turn it over. The Sowinski evidence is material because it makes Bobby Dassey a third-party Denny suspect in the murder, as well as the source of the planted evidence that was used to convict Steven Avery. The Sowinski evidence also impeaches Bobby Dassey's testimony. If Steven Avery does not get a new trial, an evidentiary hearing, something based on all of this, there's something even deeper at play here. The Sowinski evidence also impeaches Bobby Dassey's testimony and refutes the state's theory that Teresa Halbach's RAV4 never left the Avery property and that Mr. Avery was the last person to see Teresa Halbach alive. Material favorable evidence not only includes exculpatory evidence, but also evidence that is impeaching of the prosecution's witness. Bobby Dassey was the state's primary witness against Steven Avery at his trial. During the opening statement, prosecutor Ken Kratz explicitly informed the jury of the significance of Bobby Dassey's punitive observations on the date of Teresa Halbach's disappearance. You're going to hear that Bobby Dassey was the last person, the last citizen that will have seen Teresa Halbach alive. Man, I have to rewatch Making a Murderer to catch all this stuff that we now know. While Ken Kratz was saying this stuff, there was more information being hidden. You see it completely differently. Bobby Dassey testified that he observed that Teresa Halbach's vehicle pulled up in his driveway at 2:30 p.m. on October 31st, 2005. Bobby then observed Teresa Halbach's exit of her vehicle and start taking picture of his mom's maroon van right in front of his trailer. Bobby testified that he observed Teresa Halbach walking towards the door of Mr. Avery's trailer. He testified that he never saw her again. After that, he testified that he took a 3 or 4 minute shower and then left his trailer to go hunting. Bobby Dassey walked to his Chevy Blazer, which was parked between the trailer and garage. He testified that he walked to his vehicle and that he observed Teresa Halbach's vehicle still parked in the driveway. He further testified that he did not see Teresa Halbach or any signs of her. Contrary to Bobby Dassey's trial testimony that Teresa Halbach was not on the Avery property when Bobby left to go bow hunting, Brian, Bobby's brother, told law enforcement that Bobby saw Teresa Halbach leave the property on October 31st, 2005. On November 6, 2005, special agents with the Wisconsin Department of Justice Division of Criminal Investigation interviewed Brian. When the investigators asked Brian about the events on October 31st, 2005, he told the investigators that he was not home during the day other than waking up and going to work. He told the investigators the following. Brian said that he heard from his mom and Stephen that Teresa Halbach was only at their residence for about 5 minutes. He heard she just took photos of the van and left. Brian said the investigators should also talk to his brother Bobby because he saw her leave the property. The state was in possession of this report at the time of Mr. Avery's trial. Despite knowing this information, the state presented false testimony from Bobby Dassey. Now, there's a theory out there that they knew Bobby Dassey, allegedly knew that Bobby Dassey committed this crime, but they wanted Stephen Avery for this murder. So they told Bobby Dassey, "We will protect you if you say this so we can get your uncle." I wonder if at that time he knew that it was also gonna send his brother to prison for a crime he absolutely had nothing to do with. Probably, let's just throw it out there. Probably not, because Brendan Dassey wasn't arrested until March, when they couldn't prove Stephen Avery had anything to do with it. That's when they went after Bobby Dassey's brother, Brendan, and by that time it was probably too late, and Bobby was just worried about protecting himself. On October 16th, 2017, Brian provided current post-conviction counsel with an affidavit confirming that Bobby told him he saw Teresa Halbach leave the Avery property on October 31st, 2005. In his affidavit, Brian stated the following. On or about November 4th, 2005, I returned to my mother's trailer to retrieve some clothes, and I had a conversation with my brother Bobby about Teresa Halbach. I distinctly remember Bobby telling me Stephen could not have killed her because I saw her leave the property on October 31st, 2005. Brian provided Mr. Avery's current post-conviction counsel with this affidavit after Mr. Avery's second post-conviction motion was filed, and the circuit court ruled on it. The appellate court highlighted the importance of the Thomas Sawinski evidence. So now we're going back to Thomas Sawinski evidence when it stated the following in its July 28th, 2021 opinion. To admit evidence at trial that Bobby Dassey could have killed Teresa Halbach, Stephen Avery would have had to provide some evidence at the pre-trial Denny hearing directly connecting Bobby Dassey to the crime. That Bobby Dassey possibly possessed violent pornography images might have conceivably satisfied a separate requirement motive, but is insufficient in of itself to allow admission of third-party liability evidence. Stephen Avery failed to meet the direct connection requirement in his original Denny motion and has not presented additional evidence at this point. When the appellate court determined that Stephen Avery did not have sufficient evidence to meet the Denny requirements to admit evidence at trial that Bobby could have killed Teresa Halbach, it is also advised that the Thomas Sawinski evidence could be that missing direct connection. Because the Sawinski evidence was suppressed, trial defense counsel was not able to establish Bobby as a third-party Denny suspect or impeach Bobby's trial testimony as the state's primary witness. As a result, Mr. Avery did not receive a fair trial. Mr. Avery had a constitutionally guaranteed right to present a complete defense to the charges against him. Prior to the discovery of the Thomas Sawinski evidence, the appellate court stated that impeaching Bobby would not have undermined the cumulative effect of the significant forensic and other evidence implicating Stephen Avery. However, the discovery of the Thomas Sawinski evidence transformed this evidence implicating Mr. Avery to implicating Bobby Dassey in the murder and planting evidence to frame Stephen Avery. Even if this court determines that the evidence implicating Stephen Avery remains significant, it is unconstitutional to refuse to allow a defendant to present a defense simply because the evidence against them is overwhelming. Because of the existence of the new Thomas Sawinski evidence, Mr. Avery must be allowed to present a defense based upon it. The state of Wisconsin is absolutely terrified of what is going to happen if Kathleen Zellner is able to present this motion in court. That is why they are doing absolutely everything in their power to stop it. The suppressed Thomas Sawinski call undermines confidence in Mr. Avery's verdict. Its disclosure would have led to the discovery of the Thomas Sawinski evidence, which establishes Bobby Dassey as a third-party Denny suspect in both the murder and planting the evidence to frame Stephen Avery. It also impeaches Bobby Dassey's trial testimony, which he fabricated in order to frame Stephen Avery for the murder of Teresa Halbach. Alright, that's where I'm going to end part 6. I have no idea how many of these there are going to be. I'm trying to break them up into shorter videos, but as you can see, they keep getting a little longer. This one's a little shorter than the last one, but there's just so much evidence that it's hard to break them up into like 10-minute videos. I'd be stopping in the middle of a sentence. The next video, we're going to start talking about Stephen Avery is not procedurally barred from raising his Brady claim. So they have not allowed Stephen Avery to raise this Brady violation in the past, based basically on the fact that they didn't have the Thomas Sawinski evidence. And now that they do, so they are now going to raise an attempt to raise this Brady claim in court if this motion allows Kathleen Zellner to do so. Could you imagine them not allowing Kathleen Zellner to go to court with this new information? That would be absolutely insane. Alright, let me know what you think of more Thomas Sawinski evidence. What do you think of Kathleen Zellner continuing to implicate Bobby Dassey in the murder of Teresa Halbach? Let me know. Leave some comments below. I hope you're having a good day, and I'll see you again soon.